Welcome, everybody. I'm Commander Jorval, and I want to thank you for joining us for Episode 2 of our Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access Barbarian Gameplay Livestream series. Just as an administrative note, I did actually stream through this during my regular scheduled time on Saturday. After uploading, realized that the sound issues that I was having before the stream started actually carried over to the stream, and I figured I would just do another live stream today and play through it again, get us up to the point where we left off last stream, and this way you'll have an uploaded live stream with good sound where everything's taken care of. I have run a test. The sound on this one appears to be okay. Last time it appeared to be okay too, so we'll kind of see how it goes, but I think everything's going to be okay. So, for the recap here, last time we got into the Nautiloid, we had researched the Ravaged Shores, or we had explored the Ravaged Shores, gotten into the Nautiloid, and we've got a fight waiting for us. Hopefully today we're going to explore a little bit about what the Barbarian can do as far as their combat capabilities. And then we're going to head into we're going to fill out the rest of our party. We're going to gather up Gale and Astarion, Astarion today, and add them to our party. And then we're going to go into the Sacred Chapel and clear that out at the Overgrown Ruins. And we're going to really get to see the Barbarian come into their own during that encounter. There's a lot of fighting to happen there, so hopefully everything will go okay. We're going to start off with this fight. We probably won't use the Barbarian's signature ability, Rage, at this point. We're probably going to hold on to that until we get into the Sacred Chapel and the Overgrown Ruins, but we'll see. You never know. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started today. Just as a side note, I am having to clear my throat quite a bit today, those pesky leftover COVID symptoms, so I apologize if you hear me mute a little bit. Just, I don't need you guys hearing me clear my throat as often as I have to do it, so. Okay, and here's where we left off. We have 3 Intellect Devourers out here in various states of health. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to start this off with Shadowheart. We're going to have her, after this Intellect Devourer moves back to its other position, we're going to have her move up to the edge here and take a bow shot to start this off.
Darkness strike you down.
Okay, so
Best keep some distance, or this
she's got fairly average initiative that you'd expect. So we'll go ahead and take another high ground shot here with a 95% chance to hit. But before we do that, I am going to take my Barbarian and move them down here into a position where they can flank the enemy as the enemy moves forward. To try and get at Shadowheart.
Can't give up.
So
Not now.
keep them in hiding there, keep them out of combat for now, and we'll just go ahead and take another shot here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and end her turn. Okay, so we're left with 6 hit points here and 9 hit points here. Let's see, this is a 50-50 chance once we hit as to whether or not we'll get a kill here. So let's just go ahead and actually, I think what I'll do is I'll focus on this Intellect Devourer down here instead.
Let's do this.
Okay, 4. Let's go ahead and get Jorval into combat here.
No time for mercy.
Okay. So entered into battle at that point. We'll go ahead and end the turn. Actually, we'll move up to here. Yeah. And we'll end her turn. That was expected. This one's continuing to dash up toward Shadowheart, which also was expected. So we're going to go ahead and try and get another attack here. And again, if we hit, it's a 50-50 chance to kill. Perfect. That's what you like to see. And now, hopefully, we'll end this off here. Outstanding.
Perhaps our survival isn't such a distant prospect.
Okay, you can search the Intellect Devourers, and this just brings up the resting tutorial. We'll go through that more in depth.
What might you be hiding?
As we get closer to needing a rest. As I was saying, you can search the Intellect Devourers, but they're never going to have anything on them. Sorry for clearing my throat there.
What to do?
But what we can do is climb up here. Search this chest. Poison. And there's also a mind flare. We can just take all of that. Come back down here. And we'll get Shadowheart over here into the same location, and we'll get grouped up.
Let's move. Moving in.
Okay, there's another dead mind flayer up here. And we'll take those two. And I love his little short legs. When he climbs down off of stuff, he actually sits down on his butt and then slides down the rest of the way like a kid going downstairs. It's pretty funny to watch. But also another indication of how much thought Larian has put into the animations and the development here. Holding Alt, you can see we do have a clamshell down here. You can pick it up if you want to sell it if you want. I'm not too worried about it. Thieves' tools we'll take for now. Then the pork sausage to camp. Nothing else in there that we're going to need. Down here on this side, there is another clamshell. There's also
Maybe I need more pockets.
camp supplies here. Here. Then there's a locked trunk here. We're going to hold off on that. We're not going to be the lock-picking master here for this party. We have somebody that's going to do that for us, and we're going to be adding them to our party here very, very quickly. We're going to hold off on going down there. We don't need to right now. Just continue to explore a little bit, open up the rest of the map. Okay, nothing really special to find around here. And the yellow dot indicates Astarion out here ready for us. So go ahead and get this encounter over with.
Hey! I need some help! Hurry! I've got one of those brain things cornered. There, in the grass. You can kill it, can't you? Like you killed the others? There. Can you see it?
Just a dumb boar. You're relieved until you see the flash of a dagger.
Okay, so we did pass the wisdom perception check there.
Don't we? I saw you on the ship. Free, scuttling about. You're in league with them, aren't you? Those tentacle... Ah!
Your mind twists. You're looking out of unfamiliar eyes, prowling dark, busy streets. You try to hold the memory, but it fades to the worm. The light. The fear.
What was that? What's going on? It's those tentacled monsters. Whatever they did to us caused that link. They took you too. I saw it during... whatever just happened. And to think, I was ready to decorate the ground with your innards. Apologies. A kindred spirit. My name's Astarion. I was in Baldur's Gate when those beasts snatched me. My, you've been busy. So, did you learn anything about these worms while wandering the ship? Turn us into... Of course it'll turn me into a monster. What else did I expect? Although, it hasn't happened yet. If we can find an expert, someone that can control these things, there might still be time. You know, I was ready to go this alone, but maybe sticking with the herd isn't such a bad idea. And anyone that can crash a mind flayer ship and walk away seems like a good person to know. All right, I accept. Lead on.
Okay, so we now have Astarion in the party, so we'll go ahead and level him up. So the only things that you gain here are hit points and 2 class features, which are not to be underestimated. And that's Cunning Action Dash and Cunning Action Disengage. So normally Dash and Disengage are actions, so after you do them you cannot attack or use any other action after you've done it. But in this case with a rogue you can use your bonus action to dash or disengage, and then once you've gotten to where you're going you can still use your action to attack or to hide or to do any of a number of things. So it's not to be underestimated how important these are in a combat role for a rogue. We'll see more of that as we go along here. So Astarion starts off with these tools. We're going to take his camp supplies and we're going to send those to camp. We are going to take these extra thieves tools and move them over. I'm going to send some of these additional things to camp. We're going to take this extra dagger and dual wield those. They're both light weapons, so they can be dual wielded here. They're finesse weapons, which means they're going to use dexterity instead of strength, and since his dex is the much higher score, those are the type of weapons you want to focus on having him carry, just as a general rule. So, going to send those to camp. These are going to become wares. We're also going to split some of these. And we're going to send them over to Astarion. He's going to be one who's going to be in more of a position to utilize things like that. So we wanted to be able to have him focus on things like that where our... Sorry, just rearranging stuff as I go here. While our Barbarian focuses on just dealing out the melee damage. Okay, that's kind of the goal there with those two. So let's see if we can stack these. Some of these initial thieves tools are broken. So that kind of gets us good starting inventory. So now we're gonna go ahead and head back this way. There is the scared boar. And
Wits and blades, always sharp.
we don't have speak with animals or anything like that at this point.
And, well, in it. If not over, then through.
Okay, so we will come back this way, and we're going to head down here. And the tutorial about moving and stacking objects pops up, which is actually very, very important at this point. So what we're going to have is we're going to toggle the group mode, and we're going to have
Time to waste.
Shadowheart cast Guidance on
This
Astarion,
way.
and then
Well,
Astarion is going to head up here and see if he can pass a perception check. Perfect.
deep grooves in the mud around that rock.
Okay, so he can actually... like he needs to move out of the way a little bit. Okay. So maybe I'll move him out of the way and I'll bring my Barbarian up here to move it. Okay. And then we'll open up the ornate chest here. Take the gold. We're going to split the potions of speed. We're going to give one each Shadowheart and Astarion. Take the ruby, take the malachite. We'll read the Harper's notebook. Basically just tells you that there's some activity and mentions the Selenites or the Selenites for the first time, and then the Harper's map. Oops. The Harper's map, once you read it, it talks about a cache that it is giving you now access to. If you click your map, you can see there's now a hidden cache marked in your map. So that's the goal behind all of that. We can send the malachite. We can add these to our wares. We can send these to camp. And again, the Harper's map is just more. We'll end up just selling that. So now everybody also has a potion of speed, and we have 2 on our Barbarian. Potions of speed are extraordinarily useful, as we will see the farther we go through our playthrough here. Okay. So we're going to head up around this way. We're just going to take this side here first, just to open up this section of the map, because we're going to see an interaction that's happening down here. And we're going to approach that interaction from another direction over here, so we can open up this portion of the map as well. Okay, so in here, there is a dead mind flayer over here on the other side that we can search.
What's in here?
We'll send this one to Astarion. Pick up this and this. Okay, and now if we head up this way, you can see that same encounter is happening here.
There is
So
work to do.
we're going to need to pass intelligence checks, I believe,
Is that
for
blood?
this. So we're going to head up this way first, and we're going to add Gale
Footprints. There may be even more that survived the crash.
to our
Dead
party.
goblins over.
You're alive. That's unexpected. Last I saw you, you were lying in a crucible's worth of blood. An intellect devourer nibbling at your ear. Glad to see my eyes deceive me. I'm Gale. Well met. Very same. A traumatizing experience, if an instructive one. Yes. The ocular penetration by an illithid tadpole, which will end with our souls being snuffed like strands of weave caught in dead magic. Not to mention, you're staring at me like a Rashimi at a blackboard. You're no wizard, are you? Pity. But that'll have to wait. The primary need now is a healer. I take it you recall the insertion of the parasite? Are you aware that after a period of excruciating gestation, it'll turn us into mind flayers? A process known as ceremorphosis? It is to be avoided. I assume you're no accomplished healer either. Powerful cleric, maybe? then we'll have to find one. And fast. You and I are in a whole lot of trouble. We need help, and I'm not sure where we'll find it in this wilderness. How about we embark on the quest for a healer together? Most excellent. Then, without further ado, let's be off. Besides, looks like you keep some interesting company. A woman with shadows for eyes, deep as the dark lake. Pleasure, madam.
Is it indeed? We'll see.
Okay, so we added Gale to our party. We'll go ahead and level him up. So the main thing that happens here is that we unlocked level 1 spells, and now we get to choose our subclass, Evocation or Abjuration. Abjuration, the real difference here that doesn't affect the spells that you get, it's really just these two subclass features that you get. So Abjuration Savant and Evocation Savant are very similar to each other in that when you, as a wizard, you can learn spells from scrolls that you have. So if you choose the Evocation Savant, then Evocation spells only cost 25 gold per spell level. If you choose the Abjuration Savant, then Abjuration spells only cost 25 gold per spell slot. So it really just depends. It's 6 in one, half dozen the other, depending upon which type of spell that you want to focus on. The other thing that you get for a subclass feature is really what's important. For Abjuration, you get Arcane Ward. Arcane Ward is once per day when you cast an Abjuration spell. You can use part of that spell's magic to create a ward on yourself that lasts until the next long rest. The ward is basically just giving you some additional hit points. So those hit points get used up before your normal hit point pool gets used up. So it's basically like a false life spell or things like that. Very useful, but also at the same time, not nearly as powerful, I think, as what we get from Evocation. Now, Evocation is going to become a lot more powerful with its subclass feature as we get into big damage-causing area of effect spells, like Fireball, which is a level 3 spell, which we don't have access to here yet. But that's because of sculpt spells. Basically, whenever you cast an Evocation spell, any allies that are caught inside of the area of effect for it always pass their saving throws and they take no damage from those spells. So you can cast Fireball against an enemy that's standing right next to a party member and they will not take any damage from it, which is incredibly useful to be able to do. Now, it's not going to affect Abjuration spells, it's only Evocation spells. So things like Web and that sort of stuff, and Sleep, well, not necessarily Sleep, that's because that's enemy-based, but Web, for instance, is still going to trap your characters, possibly, but an Evocation spell like Fireball is not going to do that. So I tend to go with Evocation for my playthroughs, and I'm going to do the same thing now. So for spells, we get to learn 2 new spells, and let's customize what we want those spells to be. So out of this list that we have here, the first thing that you should always pick is Magic Missile. Period. End of story. No discussion. As you go on through the playthrough, if you choose to keep Gale in your party, Magic Missile can become very, very powerful. Once you can unlock level 2 spells, you can cast it as level 2, and it never misses. But also things that add damage to your attacks, like frost damage or poison damage or something like that, applies to each one of the different missiles that you can cast. And at level 1, you create 3 darts of force. At level 2, you create 4 darts. So you can be casting a lot of damage that never misses with Magic Missile. You can also spread it around to multiple different enemies. If you have enemies that are very close to death, you can clean out multiple enemies by clicking multiple magic missiles around to different enemies and help clean up the battlefield as a kind of an AoE type of damaging spell, but it's target based and never misses. So magic missile, always want to take it. As far as your second learned spell here, there's a lot of different options that you can pick. We went through most of these spells in our Ranger gameplay playthrough. You can feel free to look through that and check out some of those spells if you want. There are also 1,000 guides about what all these do. But starting off, Chromatic Orb is another just incredibly valuable spell to begin with. And you can see that Magic Missile is an evocation spell. Chromatic Orb is also an evocation spell. So when you create that surface or you do that damage with Chromatic Orb, if it's doing it in an area of effect, it's not going to affect your party member. So now we need to prepare spells. Just like every spellcaster, you have to choose what spells you want to have ready and available to use throughout that day. We're obviously going to put the two that we just learned in there to start with. So after that, with our spells, we want a good combination of concentration spells and non-concentration spells together. And we'll be able to change these out again once we get to level 2, or anytime that we take a rest, we can change up our spell book. But Witch Bolt is a concentration spell. It does sustain damage over 10 turns as long as you can continue to hold the concentration. So it's a good thing to start out with. Sleep is just incredibly powerful, and it's not a concentration spell. Thunder Wave is one of the best spells in the game. If you get into a position where your wizard can hit multiple enemies at once, if it's just targeting it against one enemy, it goes, it's still useful, but not possibly as useful as when you can get multiple enemies together. But it's only a 5-meter radius, which means that you need to get close. I tend to keep my spellcasters much farther back than that. So I look at other things, and for now we're just going to start with Grease. We won't keep it, we'll get rid of it at another point, but for now it's a good placeholder for what we're going to use. Okay, so now as far as this goes, again, his supplies we can send off, and we're going to split the Potion of Speed here, and we're going to put one of those onto Gale. Now we can take some of these scrolls here and inflict wounds here. Firebolt, Scroll of False Life here. Everything else is just... And now we can also move over a bunch of these items that we're going to have Gale sell, because Gale, out of our current party, has the highest charisma. So he's the one that's going to sell right off, but we're not going to end up keeping Gale in our party for very long. Once we get the... actually, that's a good point. Since we're not going to keep Gale in here, and I apologize for doing this, I didn't think it through very well. We're going to move this back, because we're going to immediately change him out for Will once we get the chance, and we won't be able to sell until we have the opportunity to recruit Will. So we might as well just leave the basics on Gale, and we will then take and move him out of the party at some point. So we'll just leave Gale with his minimum stuff for now, and we'll, like I say, swap him out later.
What now?
So now we're going to take Gale in here. Let's do some quick searching. Oops, can search here. Okay.
Forthwith.
We have another way that we can go up this way. You have to jump over the fire to get there, but not a problem to do. So we're going to head down into this area now. And since there hasn't been a save in a while, we'll do a new save here.
Not sure, but we better
Kind of just clear out the area, open up the map a little bit. And then we'll deal with this encounter here.
Come on, dig! Faster! Get her out of there! Don't die! Don't die! Don't die!
The person they're trying to save is the creature from the ship. Still alive, wounded.
Okay, so we do have a persuasion check, and we're going to get a +1 from charisma for this, so let's try it first. It is a really high DC, so we'll add in guidance here as well. And of course,
Your words fall on deaf ears. The creature's hold on them is too strong.
Monster! That's my daughter! She's dying! You did this! You want to kill her!
okay. So we instantly move into combat here. None of these are very powerful enemies, but, you know, still, at the end of the day, they are what they are. So they're all enthralled. So we have some options here. Sleep will actually work on all three of them because they're just not high hit point enemies at this point. So we could cast Sleep and kind of manage this combat a little bit. So I think that's what we're going to do first.
Impero tipi!
Okay. So now at this point,
All's well that ends. Not as bad as it could have.
they're all gonna run off. So they were enthralled. There was no need to kill them. They were just, like I say, under the enthrallment here. Now, the Mind Flayer, I cannot remember what
What's next?
the checks are here. But Gale still has... He doesn't have the best wisdom. But he does have the best intelligence. So if they're intelligence checks, then we'll be okay. Astarion has +1 to both. He's also got a +2 for proficiency for saving throws. But it's just +1 to ability checks. So I think we'll go ahead and try this with Gale and see what happens.
You approach the dying monster. This is the thing that abducted you. You could end its life here and now, if only you didn't feel compassion. Compassion. You can't move, can't think. Thinking is mercifully done for you. It will be a joy to serve, to die for it an honor. It's possessing your mind, forcing you to love it, but then the feeling slips. The creature's mind seems to focus elsewhere.
Okay, so we do have an intelligence check here, which is good. Gale's the person for that. Okay, we will add in bonus here.
Your mind's fuse, lusting for something that is gone. But then its grip claws back with a vengeance, a vice locking your mind into obedience. It needs sustenance to survive, and with your very body you can provide.
Okay, so now there's a wisdom saving throw. to go ahead and resist this, but this has an incredibly low DC, so got guidance on, so hopefully this will work. Perfect.
The monster lies exhausted, defeated. Its eyes, wet orange pearls, radiate malice.
Okay,
Monster. Death is too good for it.
so we'll take the Void Bulb and we'll give that to Astarion, and now we'll switch back to our
These
Barbarian
boots have seen everything.
and move around over here toward this side. So we've already been this way. We opened up the roadside cliffs waypoint. Let's go explore this section of the map over here. Okay, so down below here is the door that we originally found, that we didn't want to pick our way into, and I almost forgot. We want to head back this way and go unlock that trunk that we found. Now that we have Astarion in our party, we don't want to miss a chance to loot something,
Watch your back.
because of course we loot everything, right? And I forgot that
I don't.
also down here,
I don't
this is
recognize
where
the stretch of the river.
they ran to when they left, so we can talk to them.
Keep back. Back.
Yeah, you're not going to get much out of it, but we can
Simple.
lockpick here.
The mind flame made them its puppets.
The 5, total bonus 7. We can only fail this on a natural 1.
It's not safe here. Keep moving.
We need to move.
It's not safe here. Keep moving.
Please, get away. We're building a raft. We'll bloody swim if need be. Just leave us be.
Okay, so they're pretty scared of us, but they're
It's
just
not
trying to
safe
leave.
here.
Umberly speed you on your way. Won't trouble you any further.
Okay, but all of them did survive the encounter
Wonder
with
if the gods are watching.
us and the Mind Flayer, so well done us. So now we're going to head back where we were. We will pause, I guess, to put the helmet on. That just gives her an extra dexterity saving throw. +1. Might as well. Okay, and now we're back where we were. So we can head up this way. Heading up this way is going to get us closer to dealing with the entrance to the grove. So let's go over here and head toward the area that has the chapel. Okay. Now, there are a multitude of different ways to do this encounter out here. You can see right now from where we are that we do have a fighter here. There's also a rogue standing up here. And there's a wizard over here. There's also another fighter down here. So what you can do is you can actually move yourself into a position over here where you can move up without being seen to somewhere around here, and you can shoot this stone block. It will then drop through the floor, and it will kill both of them immediately upon doing it. That makes the rest of the fight significantly easier to do. And you can still loot their bodies afterwards. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to take these three. I'm going to hide them.
Darkness cloak me.
And I'm going to have them move up here to the top.
See your way.
Actually, I can't go that way because of their strength. Their jumping ability won't make it.
Onward then.
So we're going to go around this way. And head in the back way here, and there you can see Warryn, the rogue, up here. So now we'll go ahead and hide. And we'll just move them up here, and we're going to trigger this off, as usual, with our Barbarian. And hope that this wizard here does not cast sleep.
Make sure it's safe.
If they cast sleep, we're going to have some issues here. So we'll hope that doesn't happen. So we'll go ahead and put him in hiding.
Best be on my way.
And you can see the detection cones here. Okay, so what you want to do is kind of get yourself in a position where you can see. So right here you can see they can. I'm going to wait until the wizard moves up. There you go, and now I'm going to take this shot.
Time for some bloody work.
Okay. That killed both of them. His stealth was actually successful. Okay, and he cast sleep, but he resisted it. Okay, good. So now I have the opportunity to bring the rest of my party into this situation here on my terms. Okay. So what I'm now going to do is, now that they're here, I can split this group. And I'm going to have... This is a good... This is a good situation to be in. I'm actually going to take Astarion this way and head back down here. Have him jump down and come in this way. Now I'm going to move around the detection cone of the rogue here. And I'm going to get around behind magic user, and I am going to sneak attack her. Now, this toggle here, you can turn this on and off. This toggle right here, you can toggle it on and off. Right now, it's set to just use my main hand. If you toggle it here, it will dual wield. So if I'm dual wielding, it's going to use both my primary and my offhand attack. So what I want to do here is use both of my attacks on her when I do this. And I'm going to get a sneak attack in here at 88% chance to hit. Outstanding. That's what rogues do. Rogues be rogues. Okay, and now Warryn is left.
Time to push my luck again.
Okay, so I do need to dash here.
Wonder if the The gods are watching me.
And I want to get in a position where I can at least make... Oh, of course I can't. My action's done. Okay, so...
Need to keep focused.
Now I can do this a couple of different ways. So, what I can do... Try and move Shadowheart down here. Now, Shadowheart does not have the best strength. But then again... Neither does Warryn, so to speak. So I can try and get a shoving attack, and that's going to throw him down into the pit.
Let me strike true.
Okay. So, that, as you can see, ends the combat. Warryn is now inside of here, and we
Stayed interesting.
came out without a scratch. So that's kind of how we want things to work, right?
That way.
Gale's hidden, so we'll bring him out of hide, and we'll group everybody back up.
Need to keep going.
I'm done.
Okay, so let's do some searching here. Okay. Hold Alt and try and search. For some reason, she wasn't searching. So, sleep. We'll send that to Gale for now. Okay, and we can... So, for some reason, the icon is not working.
Something good here, I hope.
A search. Okay, so we got a shovel. You're going to find a shovel, another shovel coming up when you get to the first dirt mound. You always want to have a shovel somewhere in the party. It does not matter where. You just want to have a shovel somewhere in your party. So once you've found one, that's good enough, but you need to have at least one. Okay, so these are going to Astarion. Okay, now we have some other things that we can search here, and this is going to be... Okay, now the icon's back. Just a visual bug of some sort. We have a burlap sack down here.
No traps, please.
Okay, some more camp supplies. Thieves' tools, always useful. Dagger, the torch and the rope we don't need. More camp supplies. And now if you head down here, you're going to get an encounter at the door, or through the door. We don't need to do that encounter right now, though. So we're going to head up top here. We're going to search this crate. Nothing in it. Okay. So we're going to head down this way and head out around here. Okay, we have some camp supplies here.
Wish I had a bag of holding.
Okay, so we did make the perception check. So as long as you have a shovel in your party, then you can dig this up. It doesn't have to be on the character that is digging. It just has to be somewhere in your party. Now we're going to head on down here. There will be a skeleton that we can search here. And we have a door here.
Keep your distance.
Now the door is incredibly hard to pick. It's got a very high DC.
Easy.
Got a 20 DC. And this is where Astarion really comes into play here. Because of his sleight of hand proficiency and expertise. That's a +4 bonus. But then his dexterity is +3. We can add on another 1d4 from guidance. We've got 6 thieves tools here, so let's let him go and see if he can make it. Okay, that one's obviously a failure. Okay, but we can continue on using multiple thief tools, so. That's a failure as well. We only can get a maximum bonus of +11. Wow. We haven't rolled even slightly above average yet. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Let's keep going. Oh, and then we roll a nat 20 and we don't even need any of our bonuses. I love D&D. I always have loved it. So, this is one of the 4 ways to enter. You can enter through the original ornate door that we found when we first started coming off the deserted shores. You can go through the pit that we opened up. You can jump down into that, and you will go into combat with Warryn, who is still down there now. Or you can enter in through the main door that I talked about earlier, where there's going to be a conversation had through the door. Or you can enter through this way.
Breathe deep.
This is the way I like entering because we can approach some of the encounters from the rear, so to speak, and not attract them approach them head on. This also gives us an opportunity to loot some more chests and that sort of stuff down here. You'll also see that I'm lighting up everything that I possibly can, and there's specific reasons for that. So now let's open up the chest. Okay, so nothing really that you want to sell in here, so let's go to Gale and use Firebolt on the brazier. See, he can light that up as well. Since Firebolt's a cantrip, he can cast this all day long. So we're going to search the scribe here. Just pick this up, and we're going to light up, like I say, all the candles that we can. All the candelabra that we can. Search all the vases. Okay, and Gale has another brazier he can light up. And search this scribe here. Okay, and then coming out this way, we have another brazier to light up here. We can search this entombed scribe. We have a vase. Another one. Nothing there. Okay. Then you can head back toward the entrance. And there's nothing else for us to do down here. We're not going to go through that door just yet. Okay, so coming around this way, he can cast his Firebolt here. Okay, no candles or anything like that to see. Light up another brazier. Okay, do a search here. And we've got a heavy key. We're going to send the Scroll of Silence to Shadowheart. Do have some candles here that we can light up. And we do have Another brazier. Here's another candelabrum, and right behind it is a gilded chest. Okay, so we have some cups here, which aren't too bad. Okay, and now we're...
Don't waste a step.
Okay, so now we're going to come down here and there's going to be another perception check for us, or a religion check, I think.
Jurgle,
Yep.
Scribe of the dead. I didn't think anyone still worshipped him.
Okay, so it just tells you this is a representation of the god Jurgle. And we can search the Entombed Warrior here.
Something the matter?
You need to search the Entombed Warrior. His icons are just broken. Okay, so scimitars are a great weapon for Astarion, because as I mentioned earlier, this is a light weapon, which means he can still dual wield with it, and it's a finesse weapon. So it uses dexterity as its 2 hit and damage check. So that's the best weapon that dual wielding that you can have for your dexterity based characters is dual wielding scimitars. Until you get into +1, +2 type short swords and weapons like that. So the other thing that we have here is scale mail. This is a medium armor class, or medium armor. It's an armor class of 14. That's a straight upgrade over the chain shirt. You can also see that right now we have a 15 on our Barbarian. Our Barbarian is benefiting from unarmored defense. So if we gave him the scale mail, he's going to gain 1 in his armor class. Okay. So we put this on Shadowheart, she gains 1, and then if we take the chain shirt and we drop this in there, his armor class stays the same. So it's really just a matter of who you want to have that additional +1. And for now, we're going to give him the scale mail just because it gives him 1 more AC. That may change. We'll see. And I'm going to kind of temporarily put these scrolls over here. I'll remember to... And these are all wares. Right now, the only ranged weapon that Gale is proficient with is light crossbows. So we'll remove this bow from ranged and just put it here. The short bow, I am proficient with it, so it's not a big deal. And none of these weapons are going to be anything better what I have, so they're just going to end up getting sold. Okay, so just doing some minor cleanup. We are going to keep the shovel. We are going to keep the Barbarian clothing. For now, we're going to send these to camp. Okay, now we do have leather armor, which is leather light armor, which armor class 11. His padded armor is still also 11, so the difference here is that his padded armor has disadvantage on stealth rolls, whereas leather armor does not, I believe. It does not. So we get rid of his very cool looking padded armor, but we also get rid of that disadvantage on stealth throw, which for some reason I have no idea why it's on there on light armor, but it is. So in my opinion, I think that's a bug. I can't remember tabletop if padded armor has that same disadvantage on stealth checks or not. Honestly, can't remember. I'm sure I'll hear about it in the comments, though. Okay. So that cleans everything up. Move the last dagger over here. Everybody should be good on their inventories now. So, we can continue exploring over here in this corner. Okay, and we're actually going to change to somebody who has the search icon. Okay.
Quick step.
Now we're going to head back around this way. And I'm going to get Shadow Heart
Whatever it takes.
to cast Guidance. Are you going to stand still? Or are you serious?
I must keep going.
Oh wow, I love the pathfinding here. Sometimes it's just a little stupid. Okay, so he's got guidance. Now I'm gonna send
Careful.
Astarion
Right.
over here to try and make a perception check. And he did,
Something over there.
so he found the button. So send
Still
him
breathing,
back
Despite
and
everything,
group everybody back up.
best be on my way.
And we're going to get everybody kind of up here. Alright, and now we're going to trigger this button. Okay, and what that immediately does is bring everybody into combat
Let them come.
and
The darkness can be to our advantage.
reanimate all of these scribes and the single warrior that's down here. Now, the reason I brought everybody back here is because this is going to allow me to manage who has line of sight and who does not. So what I want to do here is just kind of look and see. It doesn't look like anybody's within range of a ranged attack here. They're not. So in this case, I'm going to try and move our characters out of the line of sight. So going to take Shadowheart and move her all the way back here. Going to take now Gale and move him back in here. Gonna take Astarion and move him here around the corner. And I'm going to take Raval and move him
Press ahead.
here. And now I can end all my turns.
All doom.
And they're all going to dash toward my location. Now, all of the scribes are spellcasters. So if you can stay out of their line of sight, then that means they can't cast spells on you. And that's a huge benefit, trust me. So you want to be able to take these on your terms, as opposed to having them all casting spell after spell after spell in this big group of 4 here at the end of a turn. So now that we're here, we can start managing this combat a little better. And I have access to all of my characters since they all rolled higher initiative. So what I'm going to do now is let me make sure. So he can't get out here. He doesn't have enough movement to be able to make any melee attacks. So I'm just gonna move him here out of sight. Going to take Gale. And Gale, if I move him out here, he does not have enough movement to get back in. So I'm just going to put Gale over here. End his turn.
Choice but to keep going.
I'm going to end that turn. I'm going to go into hiding here.
Time for a new approach.
Okay, and I'm going to end Shadowheart's turn and let them take their turn. So he's dashing, so he's not going to be able to make an attack once he gets in here. He did find Astarion, though. This scribe's going to dash, so again, no attack incoming. This scribe is again going to dash, so no attack incoming. This one moved and didn't make any attack, and this one's going to dash. So again, safe from all the attacks simply because of placement of our characters. Okay? So now what I am going to do with my Barbarian is I am going to rage. So we're going to rage here. That's going to use up our bonus action. Okay, and now I have the option for a reckless attack, which again gives everyone else advantage on those attacks on this same turn. So I'm going to move up. I'm going to make this attack here on the Entombed Warrior, and I'm going to make that a reckless one. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now Gale, actually let's go with Astarion first. Now Astarion doesn't have advantage on this attack. If he moves, he can use his bonus action to disengage. But the scribe probably isn't going to do it. Let's actually change to Shadowheart here, and she's going to cast Guiding Bolt on the warrior. Ah, outstanding. That's exactly what we wanted to see.
Let's spill some.
So Astarion
Let's go.
can now move here, and he doesn't have advantage, I don't think. Yeah, doesn't have advantage, but can do his dual wielding attack on this scribe. Ugh. And he missed with his second one, so he got 9 hit points there.
Sometimes
I'm
the
going
only
to
way
take
out
this
is through.
opportunity.
Shall we cut and run?
Actually, let's take Gale,
Destroyer.
because this scribe is going to be able to walk in here and get off an attack. So Gale does not have... Oh, he does have enough movement to get to here. So let's move Gale here.
Outsmart.
I'm going to cast Magic Missile. I'm only going to need 1 here. And the other 2
Tormentor.
I can cast there. Now, he doesn't have any more movement left.
Come on, can't stay idle.
But let's move him out of the way a little
Death is
bit.
but a
See if
word
we can...
away.
Okay. So... yeah, Gale's turn is now done.
I won't give in.
Those Jorvals. Those Astarion.
Stay focused.
And so is Shadowheart. So we're going to get a spellcasting attack here. And we might get another one from this one. Okay, so he cast Magic Missile only on Astarion and cast Sleep. And that put Gale to sleep, but I don't think it's going to matter. Unless I can't get out there, which I can't. So we're going to Jump out to here. Okay, we're gonna make another reckless attack here. Outstanding. Okay, Gale's asleep.
I missed this.
Astarion is not, and remember he has dash as a cunning action. So we're gonna dash. Going to get him to here. Perfect. Okay. And now we do have one entombed scribe left. So let's move him out of the way.
Ready.
I don't know if help work. It does. Okay. So that used her action. Gale is now available for us to utilize, though. So we're going to cast Chromatic Orb. And we're going to go with the Thunder version. 85% chance, and he gets a critical miss. Again, have I told you how much I love D&D? Okay, so now she's done as well. Casting Firebolt, I expected that. So, Gale is all out of spells. But he can move out here. See if we have a ranged attack. We do. Okay, he's done. And not enough movement for this attack, but I can do a ranged one. Okay, perfect. Okay. So now we can... Shadowheart has something she wants to say.
Rising from the dead just to protect some dusty baubles. Fools. Their trinkets may be worth a few coins all the same.
Okay, and we have already searched all of these characters, so there's no point in going back and doing it again.
Slow down.
Okay.
A lot
So-
of effort to hide one sarcophagus.
That is true. It was a lot of effort. So here we can send the Arrow of Acid to Astarion. And then we have the Amulet of the Lost Voices. Now, it doesn't really matter who has the Amulet of the Lost Voices for now, because we're so early in the playthrough that we don't have multiple necklace slots competing with each other for which one is the best. But we'll look at it here in just a second.
Here lies the guardian of tombs. Through knowledge comes atonement.
Okay, so we can open up the sarcophagus.
So he has spoken, and so thou standest before me, right as always. What a curious way to awaken. Now, I have a question for thee. What is the worth of a single mortal's life? Curiosity. Nothing more. Wilt thou answer my question? So, I ask again, what is the worth of a single mortal life? And thus, balance is achieved. If all are at war, none can win. Very well. I am satisfied. We have met, and I know thy face. We will see each other again at the proper time and place. Farewell.
Okay, so we now
Open up.
have access to, or we have unlocked Withers. Withers, you can go talk to Withers again, and you can gather more information about what's happening. But you can see he also moved into this room over here, so we'll go the same way.
We have nothing more to discuss. Continue on thy way, as if I were not here. I must attend this place after so many years away. We will see each other again soon. When the time is proper. I do not know that hour any more than dost thou. But I do know that the longer thou standest here, the farther away our second meeting becomes.
Comedian, that Withers guy. So, we'll learn more about Withers here in a little bit. Can do some searching here. Soul coins.
Strange coin.
Get an inspiration out of that.
I wonder what it's worth.
Okay, and then we do have a heavy chest over here to search. Just a ruby ring. And now over here we do have something else to look at.
Looks like someone wanted to bury their secrets.
Okay, so we're going to have Gale come in here and do a search, or pick up the Book of the Dead Gods.
This book is far lighter than it should be with such a massive lock.
Okay, so there are multiple ways to get into this, but it's really for a wizard base here. So you can see I've got a +3 from intelligence and a +2 from arcana. You can use your barbarian to break it open and get a +3 for your strength score. But again, I get a +5 from the arcana check. And then I have a wizard intelligence, which is just straight using my +3. So there's no reason not to use arcana here. The 15 DC, we've got +5, so that gets us back to just a 50-50 roll. And we can also add in guidance here. Perfect.
As the lock opens, a loose page comes with it. Magic pulses from the parchment. What was once script is now an obliterated scrawl. You have a sense these are names, a list. But of what?
Okay, now you need a religion check, which again, I'm going to get a benefit from intelligence on. And guidance. Nat 20. Wow. That's 2 nat 20s today.
These are the names of gods, once lost but now restored after the Second Sundering. The last 3 names in this book sit close together, but are so devastated by the scroll as to be unreadable. Entire pantheons have dwindled and been reborn, silently recorded by this book.
Okay, so we also get another inspiration out of that. Let's go just check our inventories again. We have some more things that we can add to wares, and we did get a scroll of Ray of Enfeeblement. You get 1 scroll from that book, so always a good book to search. And we are going to take the Amulet of Lost Voices, and we're going to equip it. And there's nothing down here that we can use it on yet.
Can carry me.
Can't use it on the undead. So now, looking at our map, we have some options on what we're going to do, and it's really just going this way. So we'll go ahead and head this way. But before we go through there, we do want to try and get some hit points back here. And we're going to do that by taking our first short rest. Okay, so that gets almost all of Astarion's hit points back. We can...
What's next, I wonder?
Shadow Art still has one. Gale is completely out of spells. So...
Don't touch me.
I think we'll roll with this for now.
Should mind my step.
What now? With pleasure.
We're running dangerously low on lockpicks. It's pretty hard to fail it, though. A standard DC 10 lockpicking when you have Astarion in your party.
Still alive, so that's progress. Another step forward. This place wasn't built for the living.
Okay, so we can move up here and search the gilded chest. There's some more gold. Spaces that we can search as well. Okay. And over here, we have 2 more chests that we can search. Scroll of Guiding Bolt, that's always good. Protection of Good and Evil, and Silence, another one. Always beneficial.
What's inside?
Another Scroll of Guiding Bolt. And another Scroll of Silence. That's awesome. Okay. So now we have an ornate door that's going to take us out to a different location. And we have heavy oak doors here. Okay, and we're going to toggle the group here and just open it. We got an animation glitch here on the doors. Okay, so now what we're going to have is we're going to have Shadowheart cast Guidance on Astarion. And we're going to have Astarion run around this room.
Watch your back. Be careful.
Okay.
There are traps about. Oh dear. Someone's left a trap out for us.
Okay, so far he hasn't failed any of his perception checks. Okay, and he did there. Okay. So he still has guidance for a while.
Oh dear. Someone's left a trap out for us.
Okay, and it's very important
Someone's left a trap out for us.
that we find that button right there. Okay? So now we can look at what is in this room. And this is meant to be the final room of the chapel. So if you come in through the front door upstairs, this will be the last room that you encounter. So this is like the loot room, so to speak, but it is trapped to Kingdom Come. Now, what happens here, and I cleared the tooltip about these, but these vents are going to release something, either a gas or grease or something like that. In this case, it's grease. So all 6 of these trap locations, here, here, and I failed this one here, are going to release grease when I open their sarcophagus. Okay. Then what's going to happen is we're going to enter into turn-based combat, and we have some options. We can either use that time to loot the sarcophagus and get out of the room, and in that case, these gargoyle heads are going to spew fireballs out, which will light that grease on fire and cause a huge, massive explosion inside this room. So, probably not the best alternative. Finding this button, however, once you enter into turn-based combat, if you can reach that button by the end of your turn, you can turn off all the traps in the room. And that's what we're going to do. Now, if you didn't find that button, if you failed all the perception checks, and I'll demonstrate it here, you can actually move objects on top of the vents. And now with something sitting on top, that vent is not going to release any grease into the area. So you can do that with anything. If you find gas clouds and that sort of stuff.
The text on the plaque is a mystery to you.
If you can cover up the vent, then that gas cloud will dissipate on its own. Okay? You need to be very careful when you're clicking around the sarcophagus to search, because as soon as you click on the sarcophagus, things are going to happen. Okay? So what you want to do is position yourself kind of here, and you want to search the sarcophagus from here. Okay, we'll just take all of those. It's going to force us into turn-based mode, and we want to, and you can see the grease that's on the ground, but this one didn't release any. And now you want to hit that button. And you see all the grease disappear. And the traps are not going to trigger.
Never a dull moment.
Okay. So we want to leave turn-based mode now. And you can see nothing is now happening inside this room. So that's the way to clear this room.
Watch the shadows.
But if you don't, then you can cover up the gas vents, or the grease vents, and then even though the fireballs are going to trigger, they're not going to light anything on fire. And you can just avoid the fireballs, or you could disarm all of the traps. You have a limited number of disarm kits, I think 2 by this point, so you don't want to mess up any of your checks, any of your attempts to disarm them. If you do, the trap is going to trigger, but also you don't have that many, and there are 8 different gargoyle heads and 6 different grease vents on the floor. So you're going to quickly run out of disarm kits if you keep failing them. So what we did pick up was that key, the engraved key. We also picked up the Watcher's Guide. The Watcher's Guide is kind of just an interesting type of weapon, I guess. The magical property of it is Death's Promise, which basically means if you make an attack with it and you miss, then the next attack that you make is going to have advantage. Advantage, as we've talked about, is very powerful, but again, you're kind of sacrificing a bunch here. It's 1d6 minus 1. You cannot dual wield it. That's nowhere near the damage of the Everburn Blade if I'm going to two-hand wield it, because here I'm doing more than that just with my scimitar by itself, let alone the dagger as well for dual wielding. So it's not something that you really want to focus on much. If you're going to do anything with it, you can move it to Shadowheart to replace the mace that she's currently carrying. they have the same 1d6 minus 1 to go along with it. This would just give you the extra advantage of having Death's Promise, but it's a spear, and I'm not entirely sure if that's a simple weapon. It is. So Shadowheart is proficient with it, but she would also lose the +2 that she's getting to her armor class from the studded shield. So, in my opinion, it's just not a great weapon at all, so I'm going to end up selling.
No time to rest.
So at this point, I can group everybody back up.
At the ready.
And we can head out this way, and maybe we'll find that last trap here when everybody gets close enough. Nope, everybody failed their perception checks. So, in that case, you can cover up the area where it is. But the best thing is just simply to hit the button. So the ancient door here is opened by the engraved key that we have. So you can just walk out. It says the door was unlocked, and this puts us back here at the Ravaged Beach where we were earlier. Okay. And that ancient door, if you're trying to pick your way in at the start, it's another DC 20 door. So just like the door that we came in through the hatch, it's a very tough thing to pick your way through. Okay, so now we're going to, again, we haven't saved in a while. So we're going to head through the ornate door here into the second area, and you'll see what we run into. Okay, so here in the bedchamber, we're going to break apart our group, and we're going to take our Barbarian and we're going to put them right here. Okay. We're going to take Astarion, and we're going to turn these candles out. And here we're going to see... Let's go ahead and move Gale over here. We'll move Shadowheart into this corner. And now, Astarion...
This place is falling apart. Could have happened by itself.
No such thing as coincidences.
Okay, so he doesn't have any...
No rest for the wicked, I see.
Someone there?
Okay, so I'm going to move him back here, and I'm going to hide everybody.
On tippy toes.
The coward's route.
Unnoticed.
Okay.
We should go take a look.
And I want to make sure that Astarion does have the Alchemist Fire. He does. Okay. So now you can hear people out here talking on the other side of this door. This door is unpickable. You can see the icon has an X through it, so there's no point in even trying to pick it. What needs to happen here is you just have to attack it. And when you attack it, you can see they're getting suspicious about somebody attacking that door. Okay. So I'm going to keep attacking it. Okay. Alright, so my next attack has a possibility to shatter the door. So I want to be ready to hide myself here. So that's the C key to go into hiding. So we're going to go ahead and make this attack. And we're immediately going to hide.
Something's coming out of the crypt.
Okay. They're going to come investigate. And now my Barbarian entered into combat.
Nothing important is ever easy.
Okay. Alright. So, my turn. So, they did throw the fireball. I didn't really want them to do that, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. But the only person in combat is my Barbarian. So what I want to do is see I can avoid all of these detection cones here. And I want to get Astarion. Actually, let's just see. Okay, so we do have the range to throw it out there, just not necessarily very far. So we're going to move him to here. And we're going to throw the void bulb here. Now you can see what's going to happen is it's going to drag everybody into that spot. I don't want it to drag my Barbarian, and that's why we put them where they are, because they're out of the line of sight of this bulb. So we want to drag them as close to these barrels as we can. Okay, and try and throw it as straight through there as we can. Okay. So that drew everybody together. It drew the barrels toward them, and it exploded the barrels. Okay. So now, Astarion is in combat, but that was to be expected anyway. So Gale does not have any spell slots, but he still can cast his cantrips. And he can also use Arcane Recovery as an action here. So once per day, out of combat, you can replenish expended spell slots. And that's what I'm going to do, because he's not in combat, remember. Okay, so I can recover 2 level 1 spell slots. Alright, that puts him into combat, but you can see he now has 2 spell slots back. So now Shadowheart is available here, and we want to focus down some people here. So let's see what we can do with Shadowheart, because again, she's not in combat right now. So you know, I haven't used Charm Person. It's a wisdom saving throw. It's only 25. There's a 30% chance to hit. 30% chance hit. Probably not the best option to do here. So she has Bless. So who is next in the order? Who's going to be next is going to be Mari, which is there. And then the Seed, who's back here. And he's going to have to go through all the fire. So let's try and focus Mari.
Can't afford any mistakes.
So let's try and cast Guiding Bolt on Mari.
Bleed for me.
Perfect. Knocked her out. Now my Barbarian is here, but I want this fire to go out before he does anything else. So
still on my feet.
What I'm going to do here is just jump out. Because Barton is going to be next to attack. So Barton is there. So we want to jump out somewhere like here so that we can get line of sight on him. Okay, and then we just want to do a ranged attack on Barton. Alright, got 3. And now since he's got the highest hit point pool, I'm going to leave him up here. and end my turn. Let's see, dipped his weapon in flame. He's dashing. Went through the fire, and he did a hamstring shot. But again, I don't really care about the hamstring shot very much. So now we're back here, and Sephray is going to get the next attack. So let's see. Can we hit Sephray? We can, with a 65% chance to hit.
Down with you.
Perfect. Okay. So she doesn't have any spell slots left. She has Channel Divinity, but those are only for 2 things that aren't going to be useful to us right now. So her turn.
Swords meet sorcery.
So I wonder why it skipped Gale. That was kind of weird. Okay, so Torga here is going to get a shot at us. So we want to move Gale into a spot where he can see Torga. And he's going to cast... Okay, so a 75% chance to hit Barton. Let's see. So we could create a poison surface. We could also create a fire surface here. Let's do that instead. Two times he's cast that spell, and both times have been critical misses. It's just great. Okay. We'll go ahead and end his turn. Shadowheart's turn is also done. So now we have Astarion. And Torga is the one who's going to get the next chance to hit. Now it's about, what, 19 meters to get there? Okay, and she's got 7 hit points, so it's going to be iffy whether he's going to be able to do it or not. So we're going to use his movement is 9 meters, so he can't get there anyway. He's probably not in shadows right now. Yeah. He's not in shadows. So... And how far does that reach? Just barely. So he doesn't have advantage against anybody here. So I think what he's going to do is just make a regular attack here and hope for the best. 65%, 75% chance on Barton. I think I'll take out Barton. Just let Torga get her shot in. Okay. It would have killed Torga, but I want my Barbarian here focused on a seed instead. So we're going to end Astarion's turn. He got a hamstring shot. And now I am going to rage again. Okay. I'm going to do a reckless attack. I guess I'm not. Okay. Interesting. The door, the broken door, is counting as impeding my movement. Great. So the problem here is that I can't heal, and he's going to hit very, very hard. So let's just take this shot at Torga anyway. Well, I could try a hamstringing shot on him. 60% chance. Okay, so that's going to have his movement. Then I can move him back. Hopefully that's out of range. Oh, he jumped. Of course he did. Okay. Don't know why it keeps skipping Gale. Torga has 6 hit points left. This is not going to miss. Perfect. Did kill her and hit him for 5.
Can't afford to let up.
Now Shadowheart's in here. There's not much that she can do. Her Sacred Flame cantrip is going to be for 60 points, or 60%. And it looks like he made the saving throw.
Can you feel death's cold grip?
Okay, so I can move around behind him. I don't have advantage here, I don't think. Oh, I do have advantage here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a sneak attack for... Actually, let's not. Let's postpone that.
Never a dull moment.
And have... Or we'll make a reckless attack. We're going all out here. Oh, outstanding. So that's what barbarians do. Don't be afraid to go all or nothing. You're going to have to make a bunch of all or nothing calls. And I entered into combat again because Warryn came out. Now remember, we knocked Warryn down the pit over here. I wasn't expecting him to come out the door. But he did. He rolled pretty badly on initiative, but we weren't really ready for this either. So the Sacred Flame is a 60% chance to hit. My standard just ranged attacks at 49%. So let's take a chance with Sacred Flame. Okay, got him for 4. That's good. And we're going to move her just out of line of sight.
I wonder if this is worth the cost.
Okay, now my Barbarian's Rage is done. So moving there, we'll get a 70% chance to hit for a ranged attack. Nice. And now we're going to move him out of the way. Astarion. I don't think he's in shadows here. Let's see. Yeah, he's not in shadows, so he can't make a ranged attack. Let's see if he can hide.
Leave no trace.
Nope. So let's just go ahead and make a regular ranged attack. Alright, and then we're going to move him out of the way. And now Gale is the only one that he's going to be able to see. So Gale is probably... Well, I don't know if he can do 14 points of damage or not. Okay, he missed. So, it'd be funny if Gale actually gets the kill here. He's got a Ray of Frost cantrip for 75. Why not?
On the
Goodbye.
Can't give up now.
Okay, so that worked out about as well as could be expected. So we did also level everybody up, so let's go ahead and get some searching done. And then we will do some level ups. So, Scroll of Burning Hands.
I'm done. I can't wait to sleep.
Okay. Thieves' Tools, going to Astarion. Dagger and a short bow. Okay. That should be everybody. Oh, there's another set of Thieves' Tools here that Astarion can pick up.
I've got a long road ahead.
Okay, so let's just check our inventories here real quick. So we know most of these weapons. So leather boots, everybody's wearing boots. So leather gloves, no reason not to equip them. There's no reason. They don't give you any benefit. But no reason not to. We're going to swap out this goblin bow for a short bow. All the rest of this is just stuff that we're going to sell. Okay, so now we can take this. No, the light crossbow is the only weapon that he can use for ranged. Okay. So now we do want to clear up his encumbrance here. So we're going to take some of these and move them over to Shadowheart. And we can do some searching in this room.
I need to find a way forward.
We're actually going to take one more of these and move it over here. Take some more things here. Clear up some more space for what we're going to do in here. Okay, in here, there's a lot of books. Okay. Books, early on, are a good source of gold. So they're relatively light, but for their weight, they're worth quite a bit. So if you want to grab some extra gold at the start, just go through this entire room and take all on the books. None of these books are special. You don't have to read them to do anything. They're all just gonna have some history, some lore behind them, but you're really just looking for the tiny or the extra little bit of gold that you're going to get from them. They will stack with each other, so that's the other thing. You want to keep them all on one person as you go. So you can see we're going to get encumbered. But it's easy to walk around in this room, short distances, even while you're encumbered. Just pick everything. Okay. Next thing to do is that we have a rustic chest up here. We also have a plaque here, which we can read.
You do not recognize the language on the plaque.
We have chapel records here. Nothing serious about it. Pick it up. We have a chest here, nothing in it. Then we have a looter's trunk, but what we also want to do is have Shadowheart cast guidance on Astarion and have Astarion head back here. Okay, and he found the lever So we can also have him search here. Nothing but a candle. So he can pull up the lever here.
Tread carefully.
Never a dull moment.
And we'll go through that here in a second. And now you can see again he's over encumbered, so we're going to get rid of some other items. I know we have some long swords and that sort of stuff in here. Great axe. Okay, that should do it.
With haste.
Okay, holding alt, nothing else special in here. Okay, we have a Book of Final Breath.
Oh, cursed to put my hands on everything.
Okay, nothing much. Do have some bases that we can search as well. Ancient Scroll. These are all wares. All of these books are all wares that we're just going to sell. And some of these do stack with some of the others that we have. And we can read through the sealing ritual here. Kind of interesting that that's here. I noticed that last time. Didn't notice that previously. Because I think I know where the ancient scroll is normally seen. But we'll kind of play through. Okay, so let's see. We're not that far over. Oh, there we go. Now you're good. Okay. Now we can go search this room that Will was in. Or that Warryn was in. My fault. We have a bowl. Nothing worth it. We do have some more books we can search. Wardrobe. More books over here. Okay. This is the room that you will enter into if you jump down the pit at the start. So you will enter into this room here, and once you open this door, because it won't be locked, once you open it, then you will run into this encounter here. And again, they're all going to be within range of you inside this room. You saw where we had the benefit of having everybody kind of out of line of sight. You can do that here as well, but everybody's much closer to you here than they are when you're over here. So you still have a lot of the same options when you come in this way. I just choose to normally come in through the trapdoor if I can, get withers out of the way. It gets me enough XP that normally I'm able to level up at that point before I even get into this fight here. But 6 of one, half dozen the other, really. It's up to you how you want to enter chapel here. This is just the way that I do it. So now, before we already explored this room here, before we move on to the ornate door here, we're going to level up. Okay, so now Barbarian at level 3 is a very interesting progression. First, you get an additional rage charge. So now I can rage 3 times per long rest instead of just 2. Very important. Then you get to choose how you want to progress here. Do you want to be the pure damage dealer? or do you want to be a damage dealer with some specialized abilities, so to speak? The Berserker is going to be your all or nothing, throw yourself at the enemy and kill or be killed type of thing. Because your rage is no longer rage. Your rage is now frenzy. And frenzy means that you now have the frenzied strike ability and the enraged throw ability. You can also make an improvised weapon attack as a bonus action. So you can pick up like a rock or something like that and throw it at somebody as a bonus action. Okay? Otherwise, frenzy acts the exact same as rage. If you haven't attacked a creature or taken damage, it's going to end. Otherwise, it lasts 10 turns. So frenzied strike is your kind of second attack option here. So this is a bonus action. This is not an action, it's a bonus action. So when you're frenzied, you can make, on your first turn that you're frenzied, it takes your bonus action to become frenzied. But on your next turn, you can attack with your action, and then you can make a frenzied strike as a bonus action as well. So again, just upping your damage output to another degree. You can also do enraged throw, which is you can pick up an item or another enemy or NPC or box or barrel or whatever, and you can throw it at a target, and they're going to get knocked prone. Now, prone means that they have to spend the first part of their turn getting up, so it uses half of their movement speed. So if you can throw something at somebody and knock them prone, which it's guaranteed to do, then it's also going to have their movement speed. So it might be a way to take a big character and knock them out of range because they can't get close enough to attack you on their next turn. Damage does depend upon your strength and the weight of the item, so the heavier the item and the bigger your strength is, the more damage it's going to do. So it allows you to do some very interesting things to cause damage and kind of incapacitate your enemies. Wild Heart, however, is basically allowing you to get some actions that are sometimes you-based and sometimes your allies-based. So if you're going to go with Wild Heart, then the first thing that you get is you get Speak with Animals as an action. So the Speak with Animals spell is incredibly useful throughout these playthroughs. So, and we're going to be equipping it here fairly shortly on one of our characters. But if you watch the Ranger playthrough, you saw how important it is to be able to speak with animals to change how certain encounters work, as well as get more information about what's going on in certain areas. So it's extremely beneficial, at least in early access. But sacrificing Berserker to get it as a Barbarian trait is probably not something that balances the scales out, in my opinion. But when you choose Wild Heart, you get Speak with Animals by default. Then you have to choose one of the 5 Bestial Hearts. So Bear Heart, when you rage, you get Unrelenting Ferocity, which basically means that you gain 1d8 plus 3 hit points. So as soon as you go into rage, you can use an action to gain an extra pool of hit points. So defensive-minded, allowing you to get into the thick of things and have some more defense available to you, more as the Berserker is the offensive mind here. So Eagle Heart opens up Diving Strike. Now, Diving Strike is very, very interesting. The early access, at least anyway, has a lot of verticality in it. There's a lot of situations where you can get above your enemies. So what you do is when you're above the enemy, you can then jump down onto an enemy below you. You can do a diving weapon slash with them, which knocks them prone, you do not take falling damage when you do it, but you have to be at least 1.5 meters above them. Okay? But it's a very, very interesting attack. It's very funny to watch, because you can literally use your movement to get you into high spots, especially if you have like an amulet with Misty Step or something like that, to get you into a high spot and then jump right back down on top of somebody afterwards. It's actually really interesting. But again, situational. It doesn't apply in every situation. So Elkhart gets you Primal Stampede. Primal Stampede is very similar to an ability that you're going to get as part of your Illithid Tadpole abilities. You basically charge forward and you deal bludgeoning damage and knocking enemies prone for 2 turns in a row in front of you. But for it to hit multiple enemies, they have to be lined up, or they have to be all together. And for that to happen, things like the Void Bulb are very useful to attract everybody to a specific spot. But you're going to run out of Void Bulbs. Those are only available inside the Nautiloid, and you don't find them in other places very often. So the chances that everybody's going to be lined up for you to make Primal Stampede hit more than one target is going to be very rare. Tiger Heart gives you Tiger's Bloodlust, and this is basically like Cleave. Any enemies within 2 meters, you can attack up to 3 of them at once. Everybody takes half damage, and they start to bleed, which will last for 2 turns. So if you don't have the Cleave ability, which is a fighter ability to begin with, and also an unlock for some of your weapon types that you're proficient with, then this gives you that Cleave ability, and it's up to 3 enemies, not just 2 like Cleave is. So Wolfheart's the last one, and that gives you Inciting Howl. This is a party buff thing. Any allies that are within 3 meters of you, they can now move, or any enemy or allies that are within 9 meters of you, they get an additional 3 meters of movement on their next turn. Very, well, can be useful, but really not very. So if you want to take an interesting turn, then the Bear Heart, Wild Heart Barbarian, and the Eagle Heart are the 2 most interesting options here. But again, I'm going all or nothing with my Barbarian. It's going to be kill or be killed with the way this works. So for me, Berserker's the way to go. So Astarion next. So here, hit points, and we get to pick our subclass. Now, subclass is interesting here in that the basic Thief gives you fast hands and second story work. Fast hands means you get 2 bonus actions on every turn, which can be very, very useful because you can use your dash ability or your disengage ability. You can still hide, or you can attack with both your primary and offhand, which would normally take another bonus action. So fast hands allows you a lot of different things that you can do because of that ability to have an extra bonus action. Second story work means that you gain resistance to falling damage. So if you get pushed off of something to a lower level, you're only going to take half damage from it. So both of them are very, very useful for the melee-based rogue that you're going to have. Arcane Trickster basically allows you to take some offensive spells as well as some abilities or spell casting abilities to enhance your performance and the party's performance on the battlefield. So the first thing that you're going to get is Mage Hand. Mage Hand is it's a cantrip, so you can cast as much as you want just using an action, and it allows you to interact with objects and things like that. So you can pick things up, you can move things around, and that sort of stuff. So Mage Hand, having it as an action available all the time is very, very interesting for any party member to have. So you get 2 cantrips, and again, these are things that you can cast all the time, anytime that you want, and it doesn't matter. So True Strike is incredibly important if you're going to go down this route. It's a cantrip. You can cast it all you want using your action, and it's a concentration spell, which means that you have to concentrate on it. If you take damage, you have to make a saving throw to keep it active. But while it's active, you can define, or against an enemy, you have advantage on every attack roll against it. And advantage, like I said, is so important for hitting and doing damage that it's just a huge benefit. The rogue has the ability with sneak attack to get themselves into a lot of areas where you're going to get advantage anyway, but True Strike allows you to gain advantage anytime that you want it, as long as you can keep the concentration up. And then you have the standard wizard cantrips here that we've seen before: Ray of Frost, Firebolt. You also have things like Dancing Lights and Light to help the party out. You have things like Acid Splash and Chill Touch and Shocking Grasp to be able to do more damage and that sort of stuff. And then you have your spell choices. These are standard a cut down version of the standard wizard spell choices, but Sleep, being able to cast it from somebody other than your spellcaster and knock out a group of people, is just OP in this game. Also, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, having somebody else be able to cast this and then possibly hide and get out of combat and just concentrate on it, can allow you to keep somebody out of the fight for a long time, especially if they don't have a great wisdom saving throw. They just go prone and they just stay there until they either take damage or it gets to the end of the turn and tries to make a wisdom saving throw. So it can incapacitate a character for a long time. If you say cast it, then you go hide. Just stay hidden and it just stays there. So some of this can be really, really impressive. And then the spells that you have, you can choose one spell to have available at any time, including out of the two that you've learned and that you can cast. So you have very limited spell casting abilities outside of your cantrips, but the ones that you have can be very, very interesting. For me, however, I want the additional bonus action. The bonus of having resistance to falling damage is great, but it's really having the additional bonus action that's going to become so important for how I use Astarion going forward. So now, Shadowheart, we unlock level 2 spell slots, so she gains all the level 2 spells. Her Trickery domain goes from level 2 into level 3, and she gains the level 2 versions of Mirror Image and Pass Without Trace. And then we can talk about our prepared spells here. So we now have some additional spells at level 2 that are now available to us. So, and again, we want a good mix of concentration and non-concentration spells here. So Aid is a way to get everybody 5 free hit points, basically. And it increases that on top of their maximum, and it goes until the long rest. Hold Person is incredibly powerful if you get something against that doesn't have a very good wisdom save, and you can concentrate on it. Silence is just stupidly powerful in a lot of situations. So I am going to put Silence up there. It's a concentration spell. So Bane was also concentration. So this just replaces one for the other. Then you have Lesser Restoration. Lesser Restoration is a great spell to have because it can remove conditions. We're going to get a different way to cast Lesser Restoration, so I'm not going to utilize it right now. And then you have Enhance Ability. So this is another one of those things that you can cast on somebody and they gain advantage on ability checks with any of the chosen abilities that you have. So if you're trying to do a very specific thing that needs a higher ability score, you can increase it using the spell. It's, again, very, very situational. Protection from poison does exactly what it sounds like. It gives you resistant or advantage to saving throws, and you're also resistant, so you take half damage. Blindness is just another one of those. Focus on somebody and basically make it very, very hard for them to be combat effective. They get a concentration saving throw at the end of each turn to try and shake it off, but it's just another great spell. So in this case, the spell lineup that I have is still pretty good with adding silence in it. So I think I'm going to leave it with that lineup for now. Again, we can always change that. And last but not least, Gale. So Gale also gets access to level 2 spells, so now we get to choose what spells we want to learn from him. And the first one you should always learn is Cloud of Daggers. Cloud of Daggers it's a conjuration spell, so it's not evocation, which means that it's not going to benefit from the spell tailoring, where if you cast Cloud of Daggers and one of your party members is in it, they're still going to take damage because it's a conjuration spell. It's not evocation. But it is a great area denial spell. You cast it in a doorway, enemies have to walk through it. They take 4d4 slashing damage when they walk through. You can also cast it directly on a group of enemies, and they all take that 4d4 slashing damage right off the bat, and then other enemies may have to move through it. So it's just a great area denial spell to have. After that, you have a lot of great options here. So again, Cloud of Daggers is concentration. So we want to have a good mix of concentration and non-concentration here. So Web is another concentration spell. I hate the fact that it is concentration. I don't think it should be, in my opinion. But Scorching Ray is not a concentration spell. And it's like Magic Missile, except it's not guaranteed to hit. It has a 2 hit chance that goes along with it. It does a lot more damage than Magic Missile, but you could possibly miss it. But again, hurls 3 rays of fire. So that's something that I'm going to focus on as well. Now, Misty Step, incredibly powerful. Invisibility, again, incredibly powerful, especially in certain situations where you're trying to manage combat. And Web is just an incredible AoE type of area denial thing. Flaming Sphere is another one of those very cool spells. You cast Flaming Sphere, it's got a concentration, so you have to stay on it. You cannot cast another concentration spell. But it creates a sphere that lasts for 10 turns, and you can move the sphere around, and it will damage enemies and objects in a radius around it. It also sheds light, and for 6 meters out, and dim light for another 6 meters, so it can light up an area. Okay? So every turn, the characters or enemies that are within its range can make a dexterity saving throw to take half damage, but the sphere is immune to damage. So you can just keep moving it around and causing damage against other people as long as you can keep the concentration going. So it's, again, a very, very interesting spell, and before certain combat encounters that I know are happening, you'll change over to it, especially like the Githyanki Patrol and things like that. And now I can go with my prepared spells. So I want to get rid of Fog Cloud and Grease, and going to kind of look at what we have here. So I am going to put Cloud of Daggers in. So that's concentration. I'm going to put Scorching Ray in. That is not concentration. I want to put sleep in, which is not a... Well, I'm going to take that out first. I'm going to put chromatic orb in. And now I'm thinking how I want to do the last two here. I think I am going to keep sleep. Yeah, and then my last concentrations, my second concentration spell is going to be Witch Bolt. Okay. And that finishes that off. Okay.
Let's move.
So now we can go through the ornate door here. Okay, it is locked.
Things feel different. Should be
Oh,
easy.
I don't have to do that. I forgot. The lever's right beside it. So, we'll see if we can pass it the first time. Okay, we did. Good. I was going to hate to lose a set of thieves' tools over that, but you don't have to pick this door. There is a lever right beside it.
Can't give up now.
Right there. Which will do it. But now we can open the door. In this room, you can see we have Andorn. And Andorn is the person that you're going to be talking through this ornate door. This is the door at the bottom of the staircase leading down from the outside area. And you'll be talking to him at the start of this encounter. If you come in the main way here. So, I'm going to toggle group mode. I'm going to hide
I don't need any attention.
Barbarian, and I'm just going to walk in here.
Should mind my step.
Okay, and I can make a reckless attack here against Andorn. 94% chance to hit. Okay, so I have initiative again, or I rolled better for initiative. So I do have a rage action that I can use. It'd be my last one. No reason not to use it in this case. There's only one of him, but... Okay, and then on my next turn, after you frenzy, you have the availability of these two. Not going to need it here with this. Yep. So, now I can search Andorn, Bandit's Key. Okay, and I guess he's still encumbered. Almost. Okay. And, sorry, this is me just closing up all of the empty spots. Okay. So now I can run him back here, group everybody up. And we can search this room. Okay. So, coming over here... Wooden crate, the quill, the ink pot you can gather up and sell if you'd like.
What's inside?
Okay, nothing there. Both there, we can read the plaque.
Ancient, indecipherable text covers the plaque.
Okay, have some more books that we can search.
Here must be long gone.
Okay, and now we get over here and we have the looter's trunk. And we have a plate. Nice. And now if you hold Alt, we'll see that we have a bunch of supplies
Don't mind if I do.
on the table here. Okay, and we have some shelves and that sort of stuff, but there's never anything. So another ink pot if you want, but yeah, here's some shelves. You can see there's never anything in those. Candles. More shelves. Okay. So now if we look at our map down here, you can see we've cleared out everything inside the chapel and the Overgrown Ruins. So let's make sure that he is all of these camp supplies. Go to the camp. Do have more wares here. And again, just a little bit encumbered. Okay, perfect. Okay. And now we can head out the door. The bandit key unlocks that door for us. Okay. We are back outside. So we're going to head up this way. We do have another wooden crate we can search. Got. Okay, and we can head around this corner here. Coming around this corner, what do you know? Lae'zel strung up in a tree here. So we need somebody with charisma, and Gale is the best one at that.
No.
You think it's dangerous?
Step by step.
Of course it. Zoru was right. Yellow as a toad and twice as ugly.
The thing's dangerous. Leave it for the goblins to kill.
And if it escapes, how will you... Oh, a guest.
Your skull pangs in response to the prisoner's white-hot stare. Her lips don't move, yet you hear her voice.
You again. Get rid of them.
He's right. Let's go. We need to check out that blast. You didn't hear it. Shook our camp good, so we came for a look. Northwest. Look for Nettie. Whatever your wound, she can mend it.
And be careful. There are goblin traps everywhere.
Nymessa, come.
Enough gawking. Get me down.
Okay, so now we can get her down.
Enough dawdling. Get me down. The tadpole hasn't yet scrambled all your senses. Auspicious. But the longer we wait, the more it consumes. My people possess the cure for this infection. I must find a creche. You will join me.
Careful. She obviously sees your kindness as weakness. Don't let her take advantage.
It is many things. A hatchery, a training grounds, a shelter. Githyanki protocol is clear. When infected with a Ghaik tadpole, we must report to Augustil for purification. You would sacrifice yourself to Ghaik. Such tiring mediocrity. Very well. But heed my words. The Horned Ones mentioned a camp. One there, this Zoru, has seen Githyanki. A creche must be near. I must interrogate this Zoru. Our very lives depend on it. I will be at your camp. Do not keep me waiting.
Okay, so we freed Lae'zel, but we're not going to be utilizing Lae'zel for this playthrough. Except in very, very specialized circumstances where we need a lot of melee type DPS. We're not going to run into that very often, so here I am the melee DPS person. So, going to leave Lae'zel at camp. We'll go through leveling her up and that sort of stuff later on. So, now we come down through this area. And again, just opening up the map and looking around. But this is the where you end up if you come up from the Nautiloid and you jump over the flames that I mentioned earlier. And like they say, there are some traps around here. Okay, and here is the first dirt mound that you normally run into. And again, they give you a shovel just so that you kind of know what to do with these when you find them. Okay. And now, getting to this area, we move around towards this area and we get into the grove. We're not going to do that today. We don't have time to do it, so I'm going to hold off on that until next week, or in this case, just a couple of days from now. But I did want to find the waypoint, and I did want to pick up that camp supply. And then right here, going to send that to camp, and then right here we are going to take our first long rest.
This seems as good a place as any to make camp.
Okay, so we do want to go through the conversations here and get all that kind of out of the way. So we'll do some conversations here. We'll kind of explore our camp a little bit and show you around it. And actually, well, let's do that first. Let's just kind of show you around it. Down here is Withers that we unlocked. And what does Withers do?
We meet again. As predicted. I shall be here in thy camp for whenever thou hast need of my services. A mending of the threads between life and death. Should thou or any of thy compatriots perish, I will cleave soul to body once more. Because it is my calling. There is little else to explain. A matter of coin. Such is life. Outrage leading to a singular end.
Okay, so Withers basically resurrects any dead party member or 200 gold. So remember that we have Scrolls of Revivify in our inventory, but once those run out, or if we just don't want to use them, because Scrolls of Revivify can be used in combat situations. So if you die and you're out of combat, you can just come here and have Withers resurrect that party member. So once you go to camp, their essence will appear here in camp with you. Okay, so just another room over here, this side. Other things will be filling some of these spaces as we go along. And then over here on this side, you have your traveler's chest. Now, your traveler's chest is what has everything in it that you sent to camp. So, all of the camp supplies, the keys that I'm sending here, the mines, the dark mind, the slave mind, and our mind that I was saving in here. All of those things are in here. So, anytime that you send something to camp, which we will do with all of these keys. We do not need them anymore. All of those things are now available to you here inside your traveler's chest. Okay? So, before you sleep, you come here and get your camp supplies. Just get 40 of them out. Use it all up. Okay, so now we can talk to Lae'zel and we'll start having some conversations here.
A monster forms inside us, and you think to be idle. I knew your kind to be fragile, but I didn't foresee the severity. Be quick about your rest. We must locate a crash. You would doubt me. I do not trust a common healer to extract a gate tadpole without killing its host. At a crash, a gust still may cleanse us safely. Take your rest. I will stand watch. Should a single tentacle split your skull, I will not hesitate to end you.
Okay. Delightful, as always.
Chatter already, Tusky. I expect I am your first. I suppose I am as alien to you as you are to me. I know of your kind, but I do not often encounter them. That large, fleshy nose of yours looks like a mistake. Better is an opinion. But mine is certainly more economical, disciplined, dignified. I understand much beyond your comprehension. More to the point, I know the cure for our condition. It is imperative we locate a creche. You do well to observe more and question less. We find this Zorru in the Red Hunter's camp. He will point us to a creche. There we may be purified. Yes, in great detail. It starts with a fever and memory loss. Then you start to hallucinate. Your hair falls out, and you bleed from every orifice. Your bones will change form. Your jaw will split to allow room for 4 great tentacles. All skin will turn to gore and be shed to reveal new flesh underneath. Then you have ceased to exist, and a mind flayer is born. Words forged in steel. May your actions express the same metal. We must find my kind and be rid of the parasite. It's as simple as that. The first symptoms should have long since started, though. That is what puzzles me.
Okay, so that's all of Lae'zel's conversations. There's no need for me to level her up right now.
Your Gith friend seems on edge. Mustn't relish the thought of sprouting tentacles. Understandable. Can't say I'm a fan either. It's just hard to join in when all of this feels so new. The night normally means bustling streets, bursting taverns. Curling up in the dirt and resting is, a little novel. I'm in no place to rest yet. Today has been a lot. I need some time to think things through. To process this. You sleep. I'll keep watch. Suit yourself. Sweet dreams. Well, hello. What can I do for you? Oh, what's to tell? I'm a magistrate back in the city. It's all rather tedious. And clearly the tadpole. If we can't understand it, we'll never control it.
Okay. That's it for Astarion. Now Gale.
Go to hell. Ha! You're a good sport. Go to hell. An everyday expression. So trivial it's almost meaningless. But we've seen hell. It's real. And it isn't trivial. Devils, dragons, mind flayers. They used to be abstracts. Pictures on a piece of paper. What a difference a day makes. Now we have tadpoles slithering through our heads like carnivorous feti. That's not abstract. That's the spirit. Let's be up with the lark. Find a healer before the wee one gets hungry. What's on your mind? Let's see. I hail from Waterdeep, City of Splendors. I am a wizard of considerable acclaim and scholar of exceptional accomplishment. I have a cat, a library, and a weakness for a good glass of wine. And if the mood takes me, I'm known to try my hand at poetry. There. Didn't that paint enough of a picture?
I could try and roll a wisdom here to peer into his mind, but there's no real need. And last is Shadowheart.
Doing the rounds, are you? You'd better get some rest. What were you two talking about? I see. I'd be careful with Lae'zel. She's not of this world. I'd be surprised if our interests remained aligned. Let's hope we rapidly find a healer. You seem reliable. I think you know how important it is that we find someone who can cure us. Best if we focus on that. Good. We might even get lucky and find one right away. As I see it, we're overdue some good fortune. Rest well. All's well, I hope, aside from the obvious. We haven't gone all that far yet. What are you referring to exactly? Must I? Thinking about it won't help. We know what to do, so let's do it. Find a way to rid ourselves of these things. We've no solid leads right now, though. We'd best get hunting. If you discover anything that might help us, I'm all ears. I suppose we'd go our separate ways. Not a slight on your company, of course. Perhaps. Perhaps not. If we do survive, we'll have separate lives to return to. I need to get to Baldur's Gate. There's someone waiting for me there. Someone I have to reach. As soon as possible. Thank you. And you're right. It's a delicate matter. Not something for light conversation. Find a healer, and the sooner the better. I have other matters to attend to beyond this affliction. I must admit, you've been a surprise, and not an unpleasant one. Kindred spirits are few and far between for me. Besides, you saved my life aboard the Nautiloid. How can I do anything but sing your praises? Must we? No harm in a little mystery, don't you think? Thank you. I'm sure we'll get along perfectly well. Fine. What's on your mind? There's no story. None that you're entitled to hear, anyway. Just forget you ever saw it.
Okay, so that finishes up all of the conversations. We do have a little bit of time here, so let's temporarily...
What can I do for you? Oh, darling, I'm hurt. I thought we had something special. I guess I'll spend my evenings lounging here while you do all the hard work. It sounds awful.
So we're going to temporarily bring Lae'zel into the party.
It is done.
And we'll level up Lae'zel while...
Nothing.
Okay, so from level 1 to level 2, you get a hit point increase, but you also get Action Surge. Action Surge is really, really nice. Once every short rest, you can gain an additional action. At level 5, fighters and the other martial classes gain an extra attack. So using Action Surge, you can actually have 3 attacks in any given turn. So it's a really powerful ability. Currently, early access is capped at level 4, but going forward with the full game, we expect it to be up past 10 somewhere, 12 maybe, something like that. And having an action surge to give you that extra attack can be a real benefit. Okay, so now level 2 to level 3, get another big hit point increase, but now you have a choice here. Very similar to the types of choices that you have available from a Barbarian standpoint, in that one is going to be your damage output, and the other one is going to be your spell-based, using your spells to help you and your party out in combat. Battle Master gives you superiority dice. You have 4 of them in every short rest that you have, and you can use those 4 attacks to execute certain maneuvers, and you get to choose 3 maneuvers out of this list. Menacing attack is you spend a superiority die, deals 1d8 damage, and it can possibly frighten the target. Now, frightening a target, the creature has disadvantage on all ability checks and attack rolls. So, incredibly impressive way to help put a single enemy at a big disadvantage towards you. You also have pushing attack, which means that you can do shove, which costs you your bonus action to do, your bonus action to do, but it doesn't cause any damage unless you knock somebody off of a high spot down to a lower spot. Pushing attack allows you to make an attack and do full damage with your weapon at the same time that you are shoving that target backwards. So it's basically a big damage dealing push is what it is. And with the verticality in this game, being able to push things off of ledges either into voids where they just automatically die or onto lower ground can be incredibly useful. Rally is a passive feature. You use it, everybody gains 8 hit points. That can be done either in combat or out of combat. So it's just a way to get hit points back. Riposte is a reflexive attack, meaning it's a reaction. So whenever somebody attacks you and misses, then you attack immediately right back with your reaction to deal an attack back to them. So it's one of those things where if you're in a melee situation, somebody attacks you and misses you, then the riposte can follow that up immediately. It's also toggleable, so you can turn it on and off, so you're not wasting a riposte against a weak enemy, and possibly you want to use it against a more powerful enemy, something like that. Trip attack does exactly what it sounds like. It deals damage, and it possibly knocks your target prone. We talked about prone earlier. For them to get back up, it uses half their movement speed. Disarming attack is, again, exactly what it sounds like. If it hits, then they have to roll a check to see if their weapon gets dropped. Once the weapon is dropped, you can go pick it. You can use an action to go pick it up. You can also use things like your mage hand and that sort of stuff to move those weapons out of reach. So it can be a way to cause somebody to only be able to do punching damage, which is obviously a lot less than what weapon damage does. But for this one, I think I'm going to get rid of Rally and take Riposte instead. But Menacing Attack and Pushing Attack, you see you get the melee and ranged versions of Menacing Attack and melee and ranged versions of the Pushing Attack. So it's not just melee. You can also do a Pushing Attack while ranged, which is incredibly useful. Okay, so Battle Master's really the way that I think most people are going to take the fighter class here. Eldritch Knight is very similar to what we experienced with Astarion, using the Arcane Trickster subclass, in that you gain some cantrips, you learn some spells, and you have a spell available to you that you can use. The spells are slightly different here, but you have the full access to the wizard spell book here as the Eldritch Knight. Again, just not something that I think most people are going to focus on when they do this. But for me, this is the route that I'm going to go with it. Oh. Alright, now we can take these camp supplies and we can send those to camp. We can also take that scroll of Revivify and we can send that to me for now, and we'll leave those 2 healing potions here. Now we're going to talk to her and leave her here. Yeah.
Still breathing.
Need to talk to her.
Speak. Chuck, you believe you can survive without me? As you say, do not keep me waiting.
Okay, and now I want to put Astarion back in the party.
Darling, I thought you'd never ask. Lead on.
Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to split these scrolls of Revivify. We're going to move one of them over. Okay, and that way we have Astarion who's able to move around the battlefield quite fast with his dash ability being a bonus action. And his ability to hide and all of that sort of stuff. Move him around the battlefield and possibly revive somebody who's dead in a situation where we're still in combat and we need to get that person back up. So, could be very useful. So, on that note, we're going to go back and we're going to pick up our camp supplies. Okay, so we've got 10, 14, 19, 22, 27, 32, 35. We'll split this. And that should be
light on my feet.
And we're encumbered, but as soon as we use them during the long rest, that's all going to go away. 40 of 40.
Where are you?
Okay, so now you can see that I have 3 rage charges available to me. So basically 3 frenzy charges that are available to me now. Speak with the Dead, that comes from the amulet that you've seen. We're going to get some use out of, quite a bit of use out of that as we go forward with it. And what we're going to be doing is starting off with our entrance to the Grove and a big combat encounter that's going to happen out here. So we will get our Barbarian right down into the thick of it and save this. We'll get our Barbarian right down into the thick of it and again start dealing out that frenzy damage that the Barbarian class is really known for, while at the same time using the rest of our characters to sneak into sneak attack situations and that sort of stuff as much as we can. So with that, again, I want to say thank you for everybody who tuned in during the normal stream last Saturday and put up with the horrible audio. I apologize for that. I wish there was an easy way on YouTube to do a test stream. There just isn't. I use OBS Studio. OBS Studio doesn't have a way to really show exactly what's happening. As far as the output goes, there are certain software programs that do allow that to happen. I'm just not investing in them. But what I am going to do is be running just a short 5 or 10 second test stream before I start. That'll be private and hidden, just so I can test it and then watch it back and make sure that the audio is fully working. I had some questions about it last time, and I should have just started the stream late and made sure that the audio was correct before going forward. So I apologize to that. This stream covers the exact same amount of content that happened in the previous stream. We ended up right here. We went through all of the same scenarios. The only difference was this one was a little bit easier. I had some horrifically bad dice rolls during the playthrough on Saturday. It was pretty humorous to watch if you could get by the horrifically bad audio. This one was a little bit easier to do, but other than that, the exact same thing happened. Exact same things happened. Got to the exact same place where we are right now. So we're going to pick up with this at the normal stream time, which again is going to be on Saturday coming up, and I hope to see everybody there. With that, I'm going to sign off. Thanks again. I'm Commander Jorval.